Are you tired of seeing everyone around you succeeding with money, but you're still stuck in this vicious paycheck to paycheck cycle? Everything you've tried so far has not worked and you're ready to give up. By the end of this video, you'll understand 7 habits of people who never worry about money, and you'll also be able to take action on most of those things today. Adopting these 7 habits allowed me to reach a $1 million net worth in 2024 after years and years of struggle and pain of trying to figure out how to win in personal finances. Money used to be a huge stress in my life. I used to live paycheck to paycheck. I used to be tens of thousands of dollars in debt, but now I see money as a tool to help me reach the financial goals that I want to reach. So with all that said, let's jump into the first habit, which is they always know how much money they have. Are you afraid to even look at your finances? Is the process that if it's out of sight, it's also out of mind? Smash the like button if this is your strategy. But here's why this is the absolute wrong attitude to have. 10 years ago changed everything for me with my personal finances. It was a Friday afternoon. I was sitting at my 9 to 5 job and I was just staring at the clock waiting for the day to end. The excitement was brewing because the next day I was supposed to be making the biggest purchase in my life that I've ever made to that point. It was a new car. I was just sitting there getting all excited, imagining myself behind the wheel, and then panic struck. I had this terrible thought. Do I even have enough money in my bank account to be able to make this down payment tomorrow at the dealership? So I scrambled to the internet, I checked my bank balance, and my heart sunk. I was $1,500 short. To make a long story short, I was able to borrow some money from family. Yes, I did pay them back. Then I went to the dealership. I told them to not cash the check until, Tuesday. They did not love it, but they agreed, and somehow I drove off the lot with that car. I imagine that when most people drive a new car for the first time, they have a huge smile on their face, they're playing with all the gadgets, they're seeing how fast they can go, but I was sulking. I was embarrassed about what just happened with the whole thing in my bank account, not knowing how much money was in there, and I was angry at myself. I'm someone who got an accounting degree in college. I was telling everyone, including myself, that I was good with numbers and budgeting and finances and money. However, the actions that I was taking in my life up until that point couldn't be further from that truth. And again, it all started with me not knowing simply how much money was in my bank account. From that day forward, I drew a line in the sand and told myself, never again am I going to neglect my finances like that. So I just started tracking things. And yeah, it started as, hey, how much money is in my bank account? So I would check basically every day to see how much money was in there. Then it was, okay, is my bank account going up or down at the end of every month? And then it was, okay, how is my expenses broken out? Like, where is all my money going, right? And then it was, oh, okay, if I align my spending to my bigger financial goals and life goals, like what could happen there? The lesson here, we can't reach financial goals without first understanding the starting point. What are the resources that we currently have at our disposal? The more we track, the more we care. Which brings me to the number 2 habit of people who never worry about money. They live below their means regardless of income. Let me break a belief that you probably have. Your income has nothing to do with you living paycheck to paycheck, because there are people out there that are winning, making $50,000 a year, and there are people out there that are losing, making $200,000 a year. I've genuinely coached people making $50,000 who have no debt and are putting money towards their financial goal every single month. And also people making up to $200,000 a year who have debt up to their eyeballs and are just stressed out of their mind. Fundamentally, if you spend less than you make, you are living below your means. And as I see it, there are 3 ways you can have more money. You can reduce your expenses, you can increase your income, or you can do both at the same time. And you can only cut your expenses so much, right? At some point, you can't go any lower. So the higher leverage activity might be to increase your income. But instead of simply just cutting all your expenses and slashing all your expense categories, which sounds pretty miserable, by the way, and very unsustainable, I like the strategy that I've used where I just take the income that I have and align my spending with the things that I say matter to me the most. I call these your North Star goals. And for me, this is the easiest way to feel fulfilled in life without, cutting your expenses to the extreme. Because a budget doesn't show us what we can't do with our money. It actually shows us what we can do with our money. Which brings me to the next habit of people who never worry about money. They prioritize building an emergency fund. Emergency funds are not sexy. They will not make us rich, but they will help us from going backwards, which actually is probably more important, especially in the beginning. And the reason why you probably don't have one yet is for one of 2 reasons. First, you've just simply never planned for one, even though every single month an unexpected expense seems to come out of nowhere and ruin your financial plan. Second, you might be overwhelmed with just starting one. If you were to search online, hey, how much money do I need to have in my emergency fund? You're going to see all these copy-paste articles saying, oh, experts say you should have 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses in your emergency fund, which is really sound advice, actually. But if you're just starting out and and then you look at how much money you're spending every month, you're like, wow, I'm supposed to save 10 to 30 plus $1,000. So instead of just starting, you do nothing because it's intimidating. But here's why an emergency fund will help your progress going forward. If you've ever played a video game where the main character has a health bar, you're going to get this analogy. Think about it as the health bar being your emergency fund, and the end of the game is a very important financial goal, like paying down debt, for example. So visualize yourself in that game. You're going through the level, it's all going great, and then all of a sudden you're starting to get attacked out of nowhere. There's sirens going off, the screen's flashing red, your health bar is almost at zero. In the game, what do? Do you risk going forward knowing that there's a chance to go back to the last checkpoint or even, the start of the entire game? Or do you look around, you see the rock over in the corner, there's a med kit, you're going to go behind the rock, settle in, stabilize the health bar, and wait for all the bad things to go away. This is what real life feels like. You're going through, you're making great progress, you're paying down your debt every month, and then all of a sudden an unexpected expense comes out of nowhere, it attacks you, and it starts to reduce your health bar. Now, if you have no health bar, aka your emergency fund, you instantly go back to the last checkpoint or the start of the game in real life. If you have some health bar, you have the opportunity to kind of pause, go behind the rock, hang out, and stabilize your health bar. In that example, no, you did not continue to go forward, but more importantly, you didn't end up going backwards, which is way more important. Transitioning perfectly to the next habit of people who never worry about money, they regularly review and adjust their financial plans. 10 years ago, if I had never adjusted my financial plans, I would continue to be waking up every day, looking at my bank account, and then doing absolutely nothing about it. Your current plan, if you have one, is fine for right now, but you do have to keep thinking about, how do I level this up? And here's how I like to think about that. Break down your goals into 3 different time frames. You have a short term, you have a medium term, and you have a long term. Short term is 1 year or less. Medium term is 1 to 5 years, and long term is 5+ years. And in those time frames, I want you to create at least one financial goal that you'd like to accomplish. We have to try to make these goals as detailed as possible, and what I've done in the past is use the SMART goals framework. SMART is an acronym where S stands for specific, and we're going to be asking the questions of who, what, when, where, and why. M stands for measurable. How do we set this up so that we know we hit it or not? There's no gray area. A stands for achievable. Is the goal achievable in our current resources that we have, with the caveat of, if the goal is on a longer time frame, we want the goal to feel less and less achievable. R stands for relevant. Does this goal align with other financial goals or life goals or the bigger, just huge mission that we're trying to accomplish? And T stands for time. Can we create some urgency around this to make sure we get this done in a timely manner? This is the exact process that my wife and I used to pay off $43,000 of debt in just 13 months. And I feel so strongly about this that I made an entire free course and free community trying to help other people reach their financial goals. Inside of Dollar Discipline University, not only do you get the tools, the training, the accountability from other people just like you on the same exact journey, but for a limited time, until my calendar fills up, I'm offering free strategy calls for every new member that joins. So that's school.com/debt. The link is down in the description. Come check it out. You will not regret it. Which transitions perfectly into the 5th habit of people who never worry about money. They automate saving and investing. I see it too often when coaching people in their personal finances. They have great intentions about what they want to do, but the general theme is that they go through the month, stuff happens, and then they completely forget, or they just run out of money to be able to put money towards their financial goal. And this happens month after month after month. And because life is just crazy for everyone and it's such a blur, it just gets kind of dropped and forgotten about and not prioritized. I struggled with this a ton in my personal finance journey. First, I tried to understand how much I should be putting towards the different areas of my life. And then I came across the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. Simply, this says that 50% of my income should be going towards need items. So think the roof over my head, utilities, etc. 30% of my income should be going towards want items. So think dining out, stuff on Amazon, and 20% of my income should be going towards financial goals, things like paying down debt, building your emergency fund. It's a great framework to look at your income, but definitely doesn't need to be followed to the exact percentage of 50-30-20. From my experience of using this budgeting rule, here are 2 reasons why it might not work for you right away. First, you have to be really honest with yourself about what a need item is and what a want item is. Too often for me, I would just go through the month, I wouldn't really think about it, and all my stuff in life would just be categorized under, expenses. Breaking it out really helped me realize how much it actually cost me to live. The second reason is because you are not prioritizing financial goals. And quite honestly, I think the framework is wrong. Even if you look at 50, 30, 20, the 20 is financial goals and that's last. So here's what I did. I figured out the financial goals that I wanted to achieve, and then I figured out a way of how can I automate this every single month. This could mean having some of your paycheck go towards a separate account that isn't your checking. It could mean automating your debt payments every single month. What this does, moving the financial goals ahead of want items, is now the want items are the less prioritized item. Some people just aren't going to like that. I totally understand, but life is all about choices. And the way I like to think about it is every dollar I put towards a financial goal, I was pulling my future one step closer to the present, which is a great transition to the next habit. They avoid lifestyle creep when earning more. Income isn't your problem, but your habits are. More income will never solve the problem until you adjust your habits. Think about it. If you go from $50,000 a year to $200,000 a year, yes, you 4x'd your income. Congratulations. But that also means that you 4x'd the problems that come along with it. As you gain more income, you believe the stuff around you also needs to get better. We're talking a new house, we're talking a new car, we're talking new stuff. Look at Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world, allegedly lives in just a $50,000 house because he understands that the less money he spends on stuff, the more he's able to put towards the things that matter to him the most, his North Star goal, which for him might actually be getting up to the North Star. So yeah, this is the classic, don't keep up with the Joneses. Life is not a contest. Live your life, not someone else's. Bringing us to the number 7 habit of people who never worry about money. They educate themselves about personal finances. Sounds too simple, I know. But if you want to get better at something, you do have to put more time, money, effort into it. If you don't like where your finances are right now, you have to ask yourself if you're using the correct amount of resources to be able to fix the problem. For example, when my wife and I first started the path of paying down the $43,000 of debt in 13 months, we looked at it and we're like, oh, no wonder why we're not able to make any progress to it, because we're literally spending no extra money, time, or effort into it. We would go through the month, we would make the required minimum payment, and we would be satisfied with that. So in order to bring that debt to zero like we wanted, we had to change the inputs that we were putting into us trying to figure this out. Every month for those 13 months, we had a family debt meeting in our living room on the couch with the laptop, with our rinky-dinky spreadsheets, just updating our loan balances and strategizing for what we were going to do in the month ahead. It wasn't too crazy, okay? These meetings would last anywhere up to 15 minutes, but because we were putting just even a little more attention to it, the debts disappeared really, really fast. It's funny how that works, huh? And again, I go over all of this and so much more inside of Dollar Discipline University. If you're not ready to join yet, that's quite all right, because I have 5 reasons why your debt payoff plan isn't working in this video here.